Alright, so, as my dog has been biting me, and I went to bed at like 1 a.m., so that was great. Stimulating myself was wonderful. Guess what I woke up at? 2 p.m. 2 fucking p.m. We're gonna move on to the best hydro turbine! With no blades. There's no blades here. That's right, the best hydro turbine. No blades. It undulates like the waves that are generating power, otherwise known as wave generators. They undulate like a dead fish that is long, or the skin of a whale, and the blades cut the surface tension of the water as they float. They end up dragging up something, ends up moving something, and it creates electricity as a result of that. Like a pump. Goes up and goes down. Pump, pump, pumpity pump. That's how a wave generator works, by the way. So imagine, if you will, there's like this sort of cone shape to a spherical, but more oval in this instance, shape. Then there's spaces with, what is this, piezoelectric diaphragms? That allow for, as it goes from this larger to a smaller, and it sucks itself in faster. It has to travel faster somehow into a larger place, seemingly lower pressure to it. And then is allowed to flow with water that is around it, flowing now faster than the cone behind. Put some diaphragms. It undulates. Lots of vibrationals. Guess what? It makes a lot of pressure differences, of course. You ever know about this thing called a Stirling turbine? It go back and it go up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up. And, I bet you I can linear generator, right? Yeah, I could probably put some fucking copper coils around and a fucking magnet, some piezoelectrics. There's mechanical stress and strain. It can cool it with the water. You know what I mean? Just looking. What is this? What does this look like? Effectively a radiator that's long. There's no real way for fish to get into it. Bunch of small holes and shit. Looks like it's fish shape. And it's safe for the fishies. I think it makes more electricity because of the efficiency of piezoelectric and linear actuators. Oh wait, they're not actuators? They're generators? You don't say. Why did you say actuators over there then? Because it can become a pump, my lord. Yes, actually. Let's put it this way. The piezoelectrics and the actuators can make a immediate pump, just like any alternator can suddenly become an electric motor. Any electric generator can become an electric motor. You now have an air pump here. You throw in some ionic wind-making apparatus. A little plasma generators over here for the MHDs, magnetohydrodynamics. Some thermal acoustic pump action. What do you get? Suck and blow and squeeze and bang and blow harder. Yeah! Whoa! I made a fucking, what is this thing? It's like a rocket injector for rockets. Because of the amount of power I can capture. Can you use this for your rocket injector? Actually, surprisingly enough, no. This one's... See, it's, See, here's the thing. Cube law is not involved in this, but you know what is? Surface area. Pressure dynamic surface area. See, if I can make something spin really fast, I can get something to work like that for the rocket injector. But it becomes far more efficient because I don't have enough surface area to really actually make this work the way I would want to at those smaller areas. You know, as a just a regular fucking injector for a car, even if it is a little big, but it's still what it is. Versus this, which is like, I don't think it's gonna do it. Cools it off though, that's nice. Goes from the outer, surface area here at the bell end. Funnel stuff. That causes some suckety-doo-dah hickory stuffs. Reducing pressure into a vacuum-like area. At the front funnel thing. Curves it in. Bounces it. Thrusts it. Creates combination mixings at incredibly high pressures using the vacuum and thrusting, repel, attract forces into a, what is this? It is a ball? It's a little oval. Right. Well, that's probably fine. Put a fucking, what is this? Yeah, no, that's a teardrop. No, it's a hollow teardrop, remember? Oh yeah, a hollow teardrop would make sense because you'd have it from smaller to wider back to smaller, and then that would be from smaller, like a scramjet, to a wider, to back to a smaller. As it would allow for it to flow and recombine into the nozzle area at much faster velocities, and allow for me to cool that area and undulate it, making more thrust performance. In a near Tesla-like active valve system. But it's a Lemke, isn't it? Because I'm Lemke here. As I sip on my coffee. Here's the bell end, getting cooled by the coldest substance known to mankind. Bullshit that we burned real hard as a gas that we thought could never turn into a liquid. It's not phase changing, it's not phase, I swear. You're right, honey, it's not a phase. It's gonna get a lot harder, a lot heavier, and a lot hotter very soon. Anyways, so this is gonna go head out the bell end. It's cool, just like, NASA's bell end. No longer will it have the capillary tubes, though. Because I can turn it on its way in towards that front into a ionic state. Because piezoelectrics and magnetic coils and all the rest of that. While allowing for a plasmification using electric flow. Meaning I can make very high current quite easily from this into a chamber where an ionic area has now turned into a plasma area. And then I can crash it back in at the bell end by shoving the electricity back in to the plasma as it's gone insanely fast. But so you see, when electricity arcs towards that, it creates a plasma all its own, a electron plasma. you flow it the right way with the right burrs and resonance and pumpies and so on. What do you get? Thrust. Duh. Yeah. You do. You get thrust. You get a fucking ionic electron plasma thrust. Two plasmas coming together in a near nozzle area that then thrust themselves through the nozzle and then come out into a bell end. As a result, it comes out far faster, under more heat, with a higher degree of laminar, meaning most of it is traveling the same direction. Which means that my bell end can be a lot different than you think in the center. This is why I usually have a aerospike. Almost always. I almost always have a weird toroidal elongated looking like a fucking teardrop aerospike that's slightly pointy. And these weird markings on the inside of this bell end. So it creates a laminar, which is like, you think you want a laminar, but that means the majority of that pressure was not captured. So you need stuff in the way of it that happens to depart its opposite reaction in a shorter enough period of time to it. You know, good old Newton, right? But it's also something that can help with the pump. As it goes through and we actively pump, then it goes through, then it goes out the other way. It then will also help increase pumping action towards the front, making it flow faster for the given energy input from that bell end. Equal opposite. It got captured. And what do you know? Well, it has to make a turn over here at the front. So, of course, equal opposite. Imparting into the thrust of the spacecraft! Wahaha! The thrust of the spacecraft, indeed. Is far more efficient. And I can light it dynamically. I could even change, without needing a pump, per se, the amount of thrust I want to put out. And it's far more efficient for the given heat, because the heat is, of course, captured. Now, why would I tell everybody about this? Because I stick a couple of these together and I change the electrons to flow at a different bell end somewhere else, and I have fusion. That's right. I put this together the right way. I have a linear accelerator that creates fusion from gases that are turned into plasma, that are cooled by the gases coming in, that were liquid at first. Now, certain gases are better to fuse. Certain gases actually do combine as an exothermic, but then are still a plasma. And now because they are combined chemically in a bond-like structure, and then I can rip them out using that heat produced for the given thermoacoustic, which is now taken over, versus electricity being necessary, and the capture of that electricity now no longer needing to be as significant. That means I can gain that back somewhere else, build it up, and put it into a flowing reaction, which rips it into a plasma, forces it to be compressed even larger, with a little entanglement here, a little possibility of some superpositioning briefly in some areas, a little closer shock pressure due to a deceleration here and an acceleration there. Suddenly heat arriving with an electron outside. And what do you know? It wants to collapse as a tunnel point together because they're already heavier. Now look at this. This is a bunch of neutrons next to a bunch of plasma. It's fairly dense in that moment. Let me just add some, what is this, some motor? Oh, no, I'm sorry. These are electromagnetic toroidal things. And so when I, turns out, like seeding a little spark of fusion, I can then get ignition fusion. This is in some of my other designs that I've already put on YouTube, and they talked about it, wow, crazy, all the way back in the Chandler house. Now, little old me back in the day was like, I'm stupid. I don't know anything. I just thought about it. 25-year-old, 24-year-old, 23-year-old, 26-year-old, 27-year-old. Oh, Joe Scott released a video today. Look at these acoustics. There's no way to use a camera. Which I talked about, Microsoft, all these other people that would be able to get it while I was in that house. Put it together. Oh, the corporations aren't listening. They're not doing this. But it's like, oh, wait. So they have satellites here. They have IR detectors. They have frequency changes to our Wi-Fi, our cell tower, and many other things. In fact, there's a way to use that as a recording device. Even if we think it isn't being done, it doesn't mean that it wasn't being done. It's like, how would you prove this to us? Okay, let's go. Come with me on a journey to your idiocracy land. So, they've known about the physics, the mathematics of how Wi-Fi is moved around, using black hole mathematics for feed and waves. It's literally what they use. For a long time. The compression, the turning, the fucking lensing like gravity. Light doesn't do this, huh? What is an electromagnetic spectrum again? Just throwing this out here. What is an electromagnetic? It's light. Oh, it's light? Holy fucking hell. So they could have had a bunch of detectors all around my house. People didn't even know. Well, yeah. And they would have known that. When did they start having Wi-Fi? 90s, I think. 90s. Wow. So they would have been smart enough people to start thinking about this because think tank people, creative, they're paid, that's what they're meant and intending to do, to try and spy on others. The government, the military, the corpos, and so on. Intending to do this. That is their intention. We have seen that they have played spy games, coming up with amazing technology in the past. Things we thought they couldn't possibly do. putting microphones in places they could never have possibly placed them. Film that we said could never get this small and be meaningful in places that are really small, and they were very meaningful pictures. And that was in the fucking... Holy shit. Well before the 70s. Tell me how this works! How would they do? No way! There's no way you came up with this yourself. There must have been no way. I'm not that smart. Sounds like you're stupid. Fuck off. Because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you're stupid. It's like, we cornered you! We took the entire world and forced you into a rural place and in your apartment to fucking constantly talk all the time. So, they are there, huh? How would they have done this? What would be the reasons? Anyways, so now there's ignition fusion, and here is your long-lasting fusion engine that uses basically no energy. Comparatively speaking. Of course, we still need to add in hydrogen. Well, I've got this Neptune, a Jupiter, a Saturn. I think they got hydrogens. Yeah. Alright, so we're gonna move on. Alright, how do we power it? What it will powers it by its fucking electricity it generates. Hot here, cold there, undulationals, electron flows, capacitives between this is electricity, this is a field, it's being generated as it moved with this given, what is this, a bunch of proton plasma, ionic over here. I'm seeing that there's a battery and capacitor supercapacitor-like device based upon plasma fields and so on. That would work. Yeah. So it's like, alright. So it makes its own electricity to run itself. Well, you're forgetting that it's also inputting mechanical energy, which is quite significant because it's fusion. So that tends to make it be a little bit stronger than your average everyday variety exothermic reaction. A little more gumption in those burns. Yeah. And it tends to soak up too a large amount of its neutrons that it doesn't hit because, well, there's gas and fuel there that it wants to be heavier anyways. We already need this material here. Okay, you're gonna love this one. It shoots off fucking radioactive shit all the time. Now, I have some solar panels, and in between those solar panels, there's some IR emitting devices, utilizing, what is this? A fluid that's getting pumped around. And then wait for this. There's a pump here of an acoustic thermal exchange phasing change variety. Because of course there's this size difference of tubes. When you place an undulation or diaphragmic automatically doing this thing inside tube, and then outside varying sizes and thickness of these directed plates for IR admittance. It happens to do this. What is this again? Emitting even more IR and thermal transfer. Yeah, because the materials that they're made convert mechanical stress and strain into light of all things. Because that's IR and electricity, which then can convert into IR, I think. Improving IR admittance technology in its overall effectiveness. Correct. So wiggity, babies. Oh yeah! Now, of course, there's still a decent surface area, but I mean, I have to put in this thing that cools that. It's only really there when the solar panels can no longer do their job because they're not here in the solar system anymore. Now, you see this thing that I talked about, this IR thing and the electricity? It's going to create these fields. Alright? These fields these are good things, though. Now, if I push IR in front of it, the light has basically no mass. I can corral optically and electromagnetically in some static fielderies a large amount of particles to be concentrated into given areas that we want them to go into, and then around too. Like a Ram supercharged turbocharger! Wasted energy gets turned into forcefully creating suction and compression, because of course we're flying fast into our engine. Now here's a little thing. It's got a vacuum. This condense, it goes fast, it goes to larger. Now, because heat was, of course, reduced thanks to IR emittance technology and some pumping, I now have liquid hydrogen going into my engine as I travel fast, sustaining longer and longer burns, fusing it together with my star engine as it recirculates thermally, giving it a mass like a particle accelerator, forcing it to fuse efficiently into, what is it that you want to put out there? You want xenon? You want, what is this, iron? Which ones? What is the mass of this element you want coming up? Because I will have greater and greater and greater degrees of heat and pressure built up until I release it. Well, that's, what is the element? A fucking tungsten, sir. Alright, we're using tungsten plasma. It's good, it's fine, we don't want that much heat anyways. We need all that heat to go and dump itself into the plasma. And all of that. Jeez, yeah, we're going tungsten. All right, we're going tungsten. Now, what is the speed you wish it to go to? Whatever, top and near light speed. All right. Well, this will be 22.5. So 10 to the power of 22.5, roughly speaking. Nines after 99. Oh, great! Tungsten fucking god. That would be so dangerous. Could we not do? It will be a laser beam of plasma. Here's your plasma energy weapon, dude. Have fun. Guess you needed to go that fast. We could just helium. Holy fuck. We don't need it to be very dense either. Okay, sure, why not? Go with that instead. They went tungsten. Going up to maximum. I didn't know we need to accelerate that hard. Jeez Louise. Woo! What were we trying to escape, man? Ourselves? We were going to die? What threats? Wait. It depends on where you are. Are you in a nebula? What was that? Your own fuel tanks that we're using? Because, like, you have to have this go through fuel tanks. So you have to have a given pumping, acoustic pump coolant. Yeah, and light has to be used to help with that, along with fields as they jiggle and then take out with the light a little bit more emittance, which it absorbs and reflects a degree of it to help it out, to improve its efficiency. As it goes through fields, of course, it gets resisted, but then it gets corralled and gets condensed. It goes faster. That's right. The same phase change Joule-Thomson reverse that I had works with this. These are our fuel tanks. It's going to be forced through this. Great for going in a straight line. Now you have to turn around. It's a good thing we have a massive plume of insanely fast relativistic fucking tungsten. I'm sure that'll be nice. Fuck. Yay, tungsten. I just threw a thing out there. Tungsten still works. It's actually a good thing to do because of how dense it is. You'd want to use denser plasma because, of course, it would trap a large amount of stuff that you don't want hitting you, and it'd be nearly the same speed that you'd be going as you pass through it at those relativistic speeds, which is a good thing. You're going to want that. That means it's no longer a particle accelerator bombardment, it's just hot tungsten plasma, which you have to deal with. Which you can deal with that because electromagnetic fields exist, and so you can have that around you with extended stator-like poles, effectively, that corral the plasma around you. They're still IR, but, reflective properties still exist for IR, and so it will work. Nice going. You got yourself to Sirius B here in a little over 6 years. You mean hydro turbine. Okay? The best, in quotation marks, hydro turbine. Quotation marks. That's because it is quotation marks. I have built other ones that are much better than this. Earlier, posted on YouTube. Have fun with it. Toodles!